Have you ever thought about how a book or even just a phrase can really stick with you long after you've finished it? I was thinking about that while looking into this new book fair. It's in Sweden.
Oh, yeah, the power of stories, right? How it goes beyond just, cultural differences.
Yeah, exactly. And this book fair seems to be built on that idea. It's called Norrköping's Book Messa.
Catchy.
It is. And it's happening in Norrköping, Sweden. Mark your calendars, everyone. November 29th to December 1st, 2024.
Norrköping might not be the first place that pops into your head when you think books, books, books. But that's part of what makes this interesting, right? Launching a new book fair is a big deal. It's about more than just this one event.
Yeah, it's about making a statement, setting the stage. And their theme this year really jumped out at me. The book, a bridge between cultures.
That's ambitious and timely, I think, with so much focus on cross-cultural dialogue these days.
Yeah.
Using literature as that bridge.
It is. So
Yeah.
we're not just talking about finding your next beach read here. It's about encountering different perspectives, finding those shared experiences that connect us.
Exactly. And it's interesting, Norrköping, like a lot of cities, is becoming more and more diverse. This book fair seems perfectly placed to tap into that, a space for communities to connect, and through stories, no less.
That's powerful. A book fair being this microcosm of a city, grappling with identity, integration. What struck me was the sheer scale of what they're attempting. Over 10,000 attendees?
Yeah.
That's huge, major book fair territory.
Right. It shows you they believe in this,
Yeah.
that it can draw international attention. And if they pull it off, Norrköping becomes this hub, cultural exchange, books, the whole thing.
It's kind of amazing. Instead of shying away from how complicated things are, they're diving right in, using literature as this catalyst for conversation.
Yeah, and not just big abstract ideas either. They're planning real, tangible things. Imagine panel discussions on how stories shape who we are, workshops on creative writing, even translation.
Translation, that's cool.
Opening up those worlds.
For sure. And they're focusing on families and kids, too. Always love to see that.
Yeah.
Getting the next generation excited about reading.
Absolutely, they've talked about that. It all starts with fostering a love of literature when you're young, introducing children to stories from different backgrounds. It builds empathy, broadens their perspective from the very beginning.
It's like planting those seeds, right, of curiosity, understanding, and they grow into something bigger. It's not just sitting there and listening either. They're making it interactive, engaging.
From what I saw, they're planning workshops for kids to encourage creative thinking through writing and storytelling.
So cool, making it fun, approachable, sparking that initial love of books and the worlds they open up.
Exactly. It's about that lifelong love of learning. And that's something I think everyone can get behind.
100%. So who's the driving force? Who's making this happen?
It's spearheaded by the Assyrian Monitor for Human Rights. They're really committed to cultural preservation, giving a voice to communities that are often overlooked.
That's interesting. So it's coming from this place of advocacy, using their position to lift up underrepresented voices, celebrate all those different cultures.
Exactly. And they've teamed up with Safahat publishers and distributors, combining their passion for social justice with, well, the know-how of a publishing house.
What a team. They're building something special. I can feel it. I'm excited to see how this first one goes.
Me too. Me too. They've been teasing some of the program details, and it sounds like it'll be pretty dynamic.
Oh, do tell. What can we expect?
Well, they're keeping the full schedule under wraps, but we know they'll be tackling big questions. The role of literature, of culture in society. They'll have discussions about identity, and obviously the power of storytelling to, as they put it, build bridges and create understanding.
It's exciting to think about, right? All those conversations, all those aha moments happening there. But what about the nuts and bolts? What will people actually get to do?
They're not messing around. They're planning workshops, creative writing, always good for aspiring authors, and they're including translation, which I think is brilliant, really highlights that whole bridge building thing.
I love that. Translation, making literature accessible to a wider audience. And it highlights those people, who make cross-cultural communication even possible. They're like the unsung heroes.
Right. It reminds you that language can be this double-edged sword. It can separate us, but it can also bring us together. And they're doing workshops on publishing too, which is huge for writers who want to get their work out there.
It's like they're covering it all. From the very first idea to a book being on the shelf, they're not just showcasing famous authors, they're supporting new voices.
Exactly. Fostering a love of literature at every level, from reading to writing. Every step is important. And of course, you can't forget about book signings. That's a classic for a reason.
Have they said who might be there? I'm always curious about the author lineup.
They're keeping it under wraps for now. But they did say it'll be a mix of Swedish and international authors, so something for everyone.
Oh, nice. Can't wait to see who they get. But it's not just for us book nerds, right? You said they're doing stuff for families, for kids.
They are. They've been really vocal about how crucial it is to get young minds engaged and early, so they've planned creative reading and writing workshops just for kids. Lots of emphasis on imagination and creativity.
Got to get those kids hooked on stories, right? Build that foundation for a lifelong love of reading.
For sure. And what better way to do that than to introduce them to books and authors from all over the world? It opens their eyes to different cultures, different ways of seeing things right from the start.
Such a powerful approach, you know? It's not just, hey, read this book. It's about, like, building empathy, inclusivity from a very young age.
And that speaks to the bigger picture. This isn't just a 3-day event. It's about creating a lasting impact, a ripple effect.
Leaving a mark. And it all comes back to literature's power to bring people together. It's ambitious, but I think they're onto something pretty special.
Agreed. And what's really cool is they're not limiting it to just books. They're incorporating other art forms, too, to make it even more immersive.
Oh, like what?
Well, they've mentioned theatrical performances, musical acts. I think it adds a whole other dimension of cultural exploration.
So you're not just reading about different cultures, you're seeing them,
Yeah.
hearing them.
Right. It's that multisensory approach to cultural exchange. Music from different parts of the world, stories brought to life on stage, and then, of course, you've got the books themselves. It's all connected.
This immersive experience, celebrating what it means to be human, you know?
Exactly. And it's happening at this brand new book fair in a city that, let's face it, isn't exactly a global literary hub yet.
See, I think that makes it even cooler. They're putting Norrköping on the map. It's a destination now.
They are. And they're doing it in a way that feels both fresh and classic, taking this traditional idea of a book fair and injecting it with so much purpose, so much energy.
It's like they've taken this familiar format and said, okay, how do we make this relevant for today's world? A world that's more connected than ever, but often feels so divided.
It's about remembering that we all have stories. And those stories, they have the power to connect us even when things feel uncertain.
It really makes you think about the potential, right? A whole city embracing this idea. It's more than just a book fair. It's about creating a space for these conversations and growing that love of reading right there in the community.
And they seem to get that it's about more than just the books themselves. It's the connections, those shared stories, experiences.
Right. It's about people. Which brings me to, like, who are they hoping will come to this? It sounds like they're casting a pretty wide net, not just the bookworms.
Absolutely. They've been really clear about this, making it accessible no matter who you are, how much you read, families, people who are just curious, book lovers. Everyone's invited to the party.
So it's not just like academics, people who study literature, stuff like that?
Not at all. It's about breaking down those walls. Everyone's welcome to come celebrate books, explore cultures, all of it.
I like that. It speaks to, like, their values, you know? Inclusivity, making sure everyone feels like literature is for them. With everything they're planning, the vision they have, they could really create something special in Norrköping.
No doubt. And it's not just about the local impact either. They want to put Norrköping on the map, literally, make it a destination for book lovers, anyone who loves culture.
So this first book fair, it's about building a legacy, not just for the city, but for how we see literature's role. It can bring people together, bridge those gaps between cultures.
Full circle, right? Back to that idea you were talking about, how even a single book, a single line can stay with you. Now multiply that, thousands of people coming together around stories from all over.
To step outside their comfort zones a little, challenge their perspectives, gain a new understanding.
They're creating a space where you can literally open a book and open your mind at the same time. Who knows? Maybe you discover your next favorite writer or a whole genre you never thought you'd like, or you connect with a culture you knew nothing about before.
It always comes back to that, doesn't it? The power of stories. We connect through them. And by engaging with stories from other cultures, we learn, we grow, we start to see the world a little differently.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, people walk away from this feeling a little different, a little more understanding, a little more open, and with a renewed sense that, yeah, stories can bring us together, even when things feel divided.
This book fair sounds like it could be truly transformative for the people who attend, for the literary world as a whole, even. So, to everyone listening, if this resonated with you, if you're interested in exploring the world through stories, keep an eye out for the Norrköping's Book Messe. It's going to be something special.
It is. And until then, keep exploring, keep those conversations going, and of course, Keep reading.